Hi everybody, welcome to Periscope. I hope that you've got an okay view today. I want to introduce myself real quick. I am Donna Elguera. I'm a mom, a wife, a grandma, and I also am someone who you could say used to be a statistic. And I say that because I have had a couple of meetings with young girls lately who have been dealing with abuse and abusive situations. And I started thinking, you know, this is such a big deal. I want to address it. I want to talk about it. And so last night when I was kind of getting things together, I realized that this is actually Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So it was kind of just all fell into place. But I want to encourage you to please stick with me today. I know a lot of people are going to click on and they're going to say, this isn't for me, I don't want to be bothered with it, and they're just going to click out. But I really, really encourage you to stick with me. Thank you for joining me, those of you who have. I really also want to thank those of you who are watching the replay. Again, please stick with me because I want you to know first and foremost that you know, and each and every one of us know, 1 out of 4 women that we know actually have experienced abuse. And so this really applies to all of us. We all have people in our lives that deal with this. Today on the broadcast, I'm going to just quickly share a few statistics with you. I'm going to share with you how you can help the women in your life and the teens in your life. And I also want to just say that I don't want to leave anybody out because in all reality, statistics show that yes, 1 in 4 women have been in an abusive relationship, but also 1 out of 3 teenagers and 1 out of 7 men. It's not just a female issue. So I really want to talk about it. Again, I'm not going to be on here for hours. I just wanted to quickly share with you some information so that you can help people that are in your life, whether it's a sister, a mom, a daughter, a friend, a coworker, maybe even a brother, a dad, a son. People in our lives that deal with this on a daily basis. And many times we may not realize that they're dealing with these issues, but it's important that we do acknowledge what they are struggling with because they need to know that they have support throughout their life and with what they're going through. I'm going to try and get my iPad set up real quick here so I can see your questions because I want to encourage questions too. I'm going to quickly go through statistics and give you just some information to help you be equipped for those people in your life that are maybe dealing with an abuse situation. But then I want to answer questions. Just so that you wonder, why is it worth it for you to listen? Well, I do have abuse in my history. Like I said, I used to be one of those statistics, and I take it very personally because I also not only have I had a history of abuse in my life, but I've spent the last 20 years of my life actually counseling with women and a lot of women who have been in abusive relationships as well. So good morning. Hi, Michelle. Thanks for joining me. I'm kind of looking at my iPad to keep up today. So like I said, thanks for joining us. I really encourage you, please share this with friends, share this with people who you think this may benefit. Also, maybe there's someone who you know that's dealing with abuse right now. Maybe they can benefit from the information I'm going to share. But don't click on, stick with me for a few minutes because domestic abuse is a very serious issue. And like I said, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And I'm actually wearing purple in honor of it. I don't know if you can tell. Let me see if you can see my outfit here. Purple for domestic awareness. Anyway, and I have a little purple flower behind me as well. Just to support those women who are dealing with this and men as well and teenagers. But like I said, just quickly, just some information to give you. If you do know somebody who is dealing with abuse right now, are in an abusive situation, or if you are in an abusive situation, I want to quickly give you a number. First of all, you can always search for local resource numbers, but if you don't have a local resource number, you can always call the National Abuse Hotline. And the number is 1-800-799-7233. So if there is someone that you know that is in this situation, please encourage them to get help. If you're in this situation, get help. There are people that are available to help you and support you. To get back to this, again, I am, well, I don't want to say that I am now. I have been a part of this statistic. As a child, I'll share you a little bit of my background just so that you know where I'm coming from. I was sexually abused as a child by multiple family members. In my teen years, I had a boyfriend that was abusive. I had a stepmother that was abusive, physically and verbally, not only to me, but to my father as well. To escape the situation, I was able to move out of the house. I moved in with my mom at the age of 16, and I was lucky enough at that time to have people in my life who were really mentors and who pointed me in a direction that was really able to help me get out of it. My way of being able to heal from it and grow from it was that I went to church, and I learned how to rediscover who I was as a person and not allow what was done to me or said to me to define who I was and to define my future. Different people may have different avenues in which to heal from it, but that was how I did it. But either way, it's important that if you are someone who knows someone in an abusive situation, that you be that support, or if you are in an abusive situation, that you reach out and get help. Like I said, I shared that the National Abuse Hotline, 800-799-7233. But I want to give some quick information just so that we can all be equipped to help and maybe recognize someone who's in an abusive situation. Like I said, you know, I've counseled women for years, helped women get out of abusive situations, helped them get into safe houses. Not always been able to help everyone. Some of the ladies actually chose to stay in those unhealthy and abusive relationships. And unfortunately, I do have a history of one person that we were in a relationship with that the wife ended up being dead and the husband's now in jail. It's a reality every day. Like I said, 1 out of 4 women have been abused at some point in their life. 1 out of 3 teenagers have been in an unhealthy relationship. 1 out of 7 men have been in abusive relationships. Like I said, I've experienced this firsthand. My dad was in an abusive relationship. He was the abused, not the abuser. And then it trickled down to me as well. 30% of Americans know a woman who has been abused, and I think that shocks people because many times people don't realize that they know somebody who's been abused. But if you pay attention, you'll begin to recognize some of the signs of a woman who is in an abusive relationship. More than 3 women are murdered by their abusers every day on average. 75% of women who try to leave an abusive relationship are murdered by their abusers when they attempt to leave or after they've left. Like I said, these are very real statistics. Many people don't even understand why a person would stay in an abusive relationship, why they wouldn't choose to get out. It seems like it would be such an easy choice, but it's really not. So I wanted to just share with you because it's important for those who are in abusive relationships to have understanding from those who are trying to help them, because many times people just come at it from such a judgmental perspective that they don't give the support that an abused person needs. And like I said, please share this with your friends, share this with your followers, share this on Facebook, tell your friends to check this out or even to check the replay, because this is really important information that can really help to save lives. And I say this because, and what really kind of brought it again to light for me is I had another meeting just a few days ago with a young woman. And it's so important that we recognize that this happens around us every day. So and I'm just going to say women because women tend to be, the highest percentage in the abused category. But why do the women stay? And here's a few reasons why they stay. They have nowhere to go. They have no support or no personal advocates. They're living in fear. They've learned to settle for the abuse because they've been told, and they begin to believe that they deserve it. They believe that it's better for their children to stay in a stable environment. And again, you can't think of this as a judgmental thing, because this is the state of mind that they begin to live with. Many times it's too difficult for her to think beyond her current crisis. Many times women will stay because their abuser promises to change. This is a big one. She believes that her abuser needs her help, so she stays out of guilt. She'll stay because of a loss of self-esteem, because she's been told that she doesn't deserve better, or that she could never have better, or ever have another relationship besides what she's in. And again, not all of these are reasons why a woman would stay, but these are a list of many of the reasons why, at least I have heard women tell me over the years why they stay. Another reason is that they truly love their abuser. They didn't initially get into this relationship in an unhealthy way. It started out as a very loving relationship, but unfortunately spiraled into an abusive relationship. They feel that if they leave, they've failed in that relationship. They depend on their abuser financially. Many times they'll stay because of religious beliefs, or they'll stay because of cultural or ethnic backgrounds. They'll stay because of the stigma of a broken home, or they'll stay in the relationship because the relationship is good in between those times of abuse. So these are some of the reasons why, like I said, I've had women sit across from me and tell me why they stay. And so this may be something that you may be faced with if you have a friend or family member or coworker who is in an abusive situation. And these are the things that you may be told, that when you're trying to encourage that person to get out of that unhealthy relationship. And I mentioned that 1 out of 3 teens are in an unhealthy relationship. I think this is important for parents to recognize, because as teenagers, their relationships are so fresh and so new, and sometimes they don't recognize the level of dysfunction, or the level of lack of health in that relationship. And many times with teenagers, it starts off with small things, like maybe their boyfriend's just criticizing them, or being a little controlling, being jealous, and the teenagers don't at first think that it's that big of a deal until it becomes to get out of control. And it's important as parents to have open communication with our teenagers, so that we can recognize those signs as well and help them to get out of those relationships before they become really unhealthy. And you say, well, how can it become unhealthy with a teenager? It can become physically abusive. It can become sexually abusive. It can turn into a stalker situation where it could actually be life-threatening. And I know this sounds excessive, but it's a reality, and it's the truth that happens every day. So how do we recognize abuse? Let me just give you a few areas that you can look at to recognize abuse, and then I really want to open this up for questions. But again, I want to remind you, if you know someone who is in need of help because they're in an abusive relationship, or if you yourself are in an abusive relationship, call a local hotline number, or if you don't have one, I can give you one real quick. It's the National Abuse Hotline, 1-800-799-7233. So how do we recognize signs of abuse? Well, they can be any of these types of things. It can be isolation, putting someone down, name calling, micromanagement, manipulation, stalking, physical abuse, hitting, slapping, pushing, sexual coercion, extreme jealousy or suspicion, threats, punishment, threatening to hurt you, your family, your friends, your children if you have children, or even hurt themselves, even to the point of threatening to kill themselves or you if you end the relationship. So these are just some of the signs also that maybe if you're in a relationship and you think, okay, wow, well, these things are going on. Like I said, I've talked to women before, and they didn't even realize they were in an unhealthy relationship until I started to go down the list of, well, does he do this? Does he do this? Does he say this? Does he do? And then they're like, yeah. I'm like, and then they begin to realize, because they're thinking that maybe they just don't know how to have a good relationship. A lot of times the women think that it's all their fault. What can they do to fix the relationship? In all reality, they don't realize that they've been caught in a cycle of abuse in the relationship that they're in. So how can you help someone who is in an abusive relationship? And these are very key for you to really help those that are in your life. Like I said, whether it's a loved one, a friend, a coworker, these are some things that you can do to help. First of all, acknowledge that they are in a very difficult and scary situation, and be supportive and listen to them. It's very important that you not be judgmental, but you give them an ear. Listen, be supportive, because the first thing that they need to know is that there's somebody out there that supports them, that is an advocate for them, okay? I said don't be judgmental. Next thing is, if they end up in the relationship, if they end the relationship, continue to be supportive, because that is the most scary part of the abusive relationship, is getting out, because the abuser is going to do everything they can to get them back. And that is many times when their life can become in danger. Excuse me. Another one is to encourage them to participate in activities outside of that relationship with friends and family. They need to get out and be involved with others. The more that they are out and being involved in activities with friends and family, the more they're going to feel that support around them, and they're going to feel that there might be a possibility of a safe exit from that relationship. Also, one thing that's very, very, very important is that you help them to develop a safety plan, because it's not as if they can just pack their bags and walk out the door. When I was in my early 20s, I had a friend who was in an abusive relationship, and she would say that she would have to wait until her husband either fell asleep or was at work, and she'd have to secretly pack a bag, have it at her mother's house, and then have to wait for another opportunity to sneak out while her husband was asleep or away at work with her children. She had tried it many times. Unfortunately, many times she got caught. She ended up getting beaten, getting abused for trying to leave. So it's important that you help them to develop a safety plan that is a doable safety plan. The next thing is encourage them to talk to people who can provide help and guidance. Research a support hotline in your area. Research safety homes in your area. Make sure that you really encourage them to get the help they need. And like I said, just walking out the door is not the end of the situation. They will actually need help and support even after they've left, even to the point of possibly needing support from like police officers and support like that. Also, remember that you cannot rescue them. This is something that they have to do. They have to be in a place where they feel that they can do it. Because, like I said in the statistics, 75% of women are not able to leave the relationship. 75% of women who try to leave an abusive relationship are murdered by their abusers when they attempt to leave or after they leave. You need to understand that, after they leave. So, and it takes women an average of about 7 times before they're actually able to leave that relationship for good. So again, I just wanted to give you guys some helpful information that maybe you can reach out and help a loved one, a friend, family member, coworker, if they're in an abusive situation, or if possibly you are in an abusive situation. Please know that there's people that really do want to help and support you. And this is no laughing matter. This is not something to take lightly. This is something that we all need to understand is around us all of the time. And you may not realize it, but it may be that person that sits next to you at work that is that abused person. It may be your sister. It may be your mother. It may be your daughter. It may be your son. It very well could be a family member but because of the level of abuse in their relationship, they're not able to tell you because they're afraid, because they've been threatened that you and your family would be harmed if she reached out to you. So again, there's 1 out of 4 women that we come across throughout our day that have probably been in an abusive relationship, 1 out of 7 men, 1 out of 3 teenagers. So again, reach out, help. Understand that this month of October, is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And if you know somebody that needs help, or if you need help, remember the National Abuse Hotline is 1-800-799-7233. I know this was a very serious Periscope, but this is a very serious issue. And I would prefer to not have to counsel women that are abused. I would hope that I can create a village, a community of people who would be living their lives with their eyes open to who is around them, and everybody reaching out and helping those who are in abusive relationships. So are there any questions? I see that there are still some people online. If you have questions, I would love to take some questions for a few minutes. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. But I thank you guys for sticking with me, those of you that have logged on, those of you that have been watching. Thanks for all the hearts for those of you that are watching. And thank you for the support. I really appreciate all of you who are always logging on and watching my Periscopes. Sometimes they can be funny and silly. This one just happens to be a serious one. Like I said, this is something that I dealt with as a child and as a teenager, something that I watched my father go through in a relationship, and things that I've seen friends deal with. And so this is serious to me. This is something close to home. This is something that I deal with when I sit and I have women sit across from me talking about their abusive relationships and wondering how can they get out of it. So I'm hoping that I can empower someone else to help someone get out of an abused relationship, or maybe, like I said, someone, maybe you're watching and you're in that relationship, and hopefully I've given you some tips or tools or some encouragement to get out of that relationship. I don't see any questions popping up, so I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Again, I thank you guys for watching. Encourage your friends to watch this. Let's see, try to be loving through this with my friend. It's really hard. She still wants to stay. It is a very difficult situation when we have friends that we see that are staying, even though it's an unhealthy situation. And I hope that your friend can get into a situation to where she will choose not to stay, but will get out of it. Again, I hope that maybe some of the tips that I gave will be a help to you, Michelle, to reach out to your friend and maybe help her to get out of that relationship, because it's definitely not a good thing. Let's remember to love the people around us. And like I said, this is not just a women issue. 1 out of 7 men, 1 out of 4 women, 1 out of 3 teenagers. I didn't stay, so it's hard to understand staying. I get it. I'm the same. I was fortunate enough to be able to have a way to get out in my situation, and I'm grateful for that. But not every woman is strong enough to do that, and not everybody. Hi, Arlette. Thanks for logging in. We're talking about abuse, and I was just sharing about the statistics, and October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And so I just shared some information about how to recognize it, how to help those that are in an abusive relationship, because a lot of people don't know how to get out, and some people don't even realize that their relationship is abusive. So I'm encouraging everybody to share this Periscope, and maybe encourage their friends to replay this scope. It's going to be up for the next 24 hours. And like I said, hopefully we can all save a life if we use this information. You guys all have a great day. I thank you so much for joining me today. You are incredible, and I hope that by sharing this, that we, like I said, we've saved some lives. So y'all have a good day, and I don't know, save a life. Love people to life. All right, love you guys. Thanks. Bye-bye.